The views and opinions expressed by the participants on this show are not necessarily those of Stewart Information Services Corporation, Stewart Title, or Stewart Insurance. Before you make any investment, you should seek the advice of your investment advisor or attorney.
Whether you're a real estate broker, realtor, homeowner, buyer, or seller, everything matters when it comes to real estate. This is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. Stewart Title's Bill Knapik and guests open the door to what really matters in owning, buying, and selling real estate. And now, Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, brought to you by Stewart Insurance. Here to inform, entertain, and inspire, Bill Knapik.
Welcome to the show. It is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, show number 469. That's right, we're going to talk real estate and all things that relate to the home. We're going to first start talking about money right here on Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I am your host, Bill Knapik. Let's get down to business right now as we welcome Angela Tritter. She is with Fairway Mortgage. Angela, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Bill. Happy to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you. First of all, let's tell people about your company, Fairway Mortgage.
Fairway is one of the largest mortgage companies in the United States, and I think we're number 2 in the nation now, and we're in all 50 states.
50 states, and you are right here in Houston, Texas, right?
I am.
So first, let's tell people, one of the things we don't get to talk about as it relates to money in the mortgage world is divorce. One of the things you have a niche, I'm told, as far as helping people that are either going through divorce. So let's tell people about that.
Well, one of the most stressful life events an individual can face, obviously, is divorce. And one of the main reasons is fear of change, fear of the unknown. The marital home, as a piece of real estate, is one of the largest real estate assets to be divided. There are a lot of options. You know, one spouse can buy out the other spouse. Another thing, the home can be sold. But a lot of times in divorce, what happens is attorneys draw up settlements and then decrees, and judge signs it, and it becomes ordered, and with no idea if one or both can qualify for financing, either for the buyout or for future financing. So it's very, very, a lot of times people come out of divorces thinking they can do a certain financial transactions, and they're not able to.
Divorce can be devastating in so many aspects. Certainly finance is just one of them. But as far as your perspective in helping people with mortgages, how are you sensitive, or what are the things you're doing to help those individuals, families that are going through a divorce? Because I'm sure there's a lot of things going through someone's mind emotionally, and then when they look at bank accounts and, hey, is that still mine, or I only have this much now, right? Those kinds of things. How are you able to help them in that certain way?
Divorce spans all kinds of different laws and regulations. As part of a divorce, real estate is divorce law, of course. It's also real estate law when you're talking about homestead and community property rights. It's also IRS tax laws and interest deductions and capital gains deductions. And then, of course, you've got future financial planning for IRAs, retirement funds, that sort of thing. All of this needs to be considered when you're dividing a real estate piece of property. It all comes into play. And a lot of times, all of these pieces, things get neglected and things get forgotten, and you're not able to get a mortgage if proper things are not written into the decree that can help you get a financing in the future.
So it sounds to me like one of the first things someone needs to do is get their financial, of course, if they can even know what their financial situation is, especially after the divorce and during the divorce. Now I'm thinking about it, it seems like after the divorce, when it's settled, that's one thing because we know, the person would know. However, I'm sure people are looking to get a mortgage even before they're actually divorced. Is that true?
Well, there's
and that
more
might
to
be more
yeah,
complicated.
There's more to it's more to it than that. I mean, my goal is to come into the plan early, before the divorce, before the decree is finalized, because there's a lot of options that are left on the table because many attorneys, especially divorce attorneys, are not aware of some of the regulations and some of the things that can affect financing. And you know, one of the main things is the verbiage in the decree can eliminate you in some of the options that are available to you if they are left out of the decree. And it's my job to be part of the team with attorneys, with the mediators, with the financial planners to provide a plan for individuals so they can have the living situation pre and post divorce that they want, because there's a lot of financial regulations that will prevent them from getting it if things aren't structured right up front.
And how long have you been in this part of the mortgage world where you're kind of focusing on or helping people that are going through a divorce?
Mortgage business close to 30 years, but in this about 5, because I realized how many times people have gotten into situations where they're stuck with decrees, with language in the decrees that prevents them from either refinancing on a buyout or actually getting financing in the future. Structure of income and what banks and financial individuals can use as qualified income is totally different than what you would think as income. A lot of times an individual will get a lump sum in a divorce, and it's great. You got a lot of money.
That sounds good.
Yeah, but I can't use it for qualifying you in a mortgage because it's not a steady stream of income. And there's things like there's OLT liens. The way property in Texas should be divided through an OLT lien. Most divorce attorneys don't know about OLT liens and that they need to include that in their mortgage. If the attorney,
I've never heard of that before.
Oh, there you
and
go.
I bet a lot of people listening have not heard that term.
If that is left out of the decree in the division of the marital homestead, I can't do an equity buyout loan at the 95%. Their clients are left with an equity buyout, which is a Texas cash out of 80% loan to value. So you're leaving a lot of options on the table, a lot of money on the table, things that were available to the client, but once that decree's signed, you can't go back. It's the same thing as in division of 401k assets and IRA assets. This money gets divided. In a quadro situation, you get a one-time shot to take out any cash.
Now, what's a quadro situation? I've not heard that term
either. A quadro is a qualified. It's a qualified distribution order that a judge can order that can separate retirement funds.
So then, as a couple is getting divorced, and their assets are being determined and separated, that's one of these separations. The judge determines this and then
actually, the individuals to determine how things are going to get split up.
They sort it out.
Okay. And then as a result, this financial instruments can get created. But as a part of this financial instrument, at the very beginning of its creation, you can take a one-time cash distribution, which could help one of the spouses buy another house. But you can take this distribution penalty-free. Now, of course, you got to pay taxes on it, but there's no penalty on this distribution. But once the quadro's established and it's distributed, you don't get that shot again. So it's these little financial things that we bring to the table as far as helping divorcing individuals structure these out-of-box solutions to get each of the spouses where they want to be for financing for the future, for their home or their distribution of their assets. That's where we come into play.
Well, it sounds like the very nature that you know about these terms. I think there are people in the mortgage world that aren't even familiar with these terms that you've mentioned, at least 2 of them.
Yeah. It's a big. Everyone thinks they go through a divorce. Oh, I got my refinance or this and that, but they don't realize some of the things maybe they left on the table or some of the solutions that were available to them just because they didn't know what they didn't know.
In fact, I know one term, quick claim deed, right? That comes into play. Tell us how that comes into play.
Should never, ever use a quick claim deed for that.
Who shouldn't?
Divorcing couples. And a lot of them do that a lot of time. This is where that OLT lien, what I'm talking about, comes into play. The real estate, Texas real estate law is different than most other states. And the OLT lien is one of the ways that Texas is different. And it is a way to divide property legally. And it's the only way in Texas that property should be divided. But I can guarantee you that almost every divorce decree that I look at does not do it that way. And it does leave your client where they are limited in the type of financing options they have for that piece of property going forward in the future.
We're talking with Angela Tritter with Fairway Mortgage. So you have this specialty in the divorce world, helping people get mortgages, and it sounds like you'd be the person to call if someone is going through this event, as unfortunate as it may be. You would have that expertise and you would help that individual.
Yes, and it's before. And it's not just divorce, it's separation as well, because you want to know what your options are now and what your options are in the future. Because it's, again, even after separation or after divorce, there's liabilities that get assigned to each of them. Is that going to prevent you in the future from getting financing in the future? You want to know these things. And this is what we do as a neutral, a financial neutral, as part of the team, both teams, both sides, saying, okay, if this is what you want, this is how you're going to divide it, then here are your options. And this is when you can purchase, or this is when you can refinance. This is when you can purchase in the future. This is what you need to structure your finances to be able to purchase a home or finance a home in the future.
Now, also, Angela, as you're helping people that are going through a divorce and separation, are you also helping other people that just want a loan?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you're full service, it sounds like.
Full.
So before we close this segment, Angela, what else do you want people to know?
The key takeaways here are to get someone involved that is specialized in divorce financial planning. I can be reached at divorcelendingoptions.com. There are many divorce professionals in Houston, in Texas. Reach out to one of them anytime. There's a no-cost consultation. By law, RESPA prohibits us from charging any kind of consulting fees. We do loans for people. That's what we do, and we provide them with options. And the biggest takeaway is if you don't get involved, have your attorney get involved with divorce lending professionals and have them be involved in your settlement agreement. Angela Tritter. And if someone wants to give you a call, I can be reached at 713-822-6314 or go to my website at www.divorcelendingoptions.com. And the phone number again is 713-822-6314. Angela, thanks for being with us. Thanks, Bill. As we continue, let's talk real estate with Beth Cassidy. Her company is Douglas Elliman. Hey, Beth, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's been a while.
Well, here you are. It has been a long time. So let's tell people, first of all, we have not had a lot of agents from Douglas Elliman on the show for some reason. It's been a while. So let's tell people here in Houston, Douglas Elliman is known around the world even, but let's tell people about what's going on here in Houston with your company.
Well, first I want to say Douglas Elliman has only been here 3.5 years now, and they originated in New York City. And when I first found out about it, I was like, who's Doug and who's Elliman?
And then you found out somewhere along the line.
Right. It's been around since 1911, like I said, so it's one of the largest brokerages in the country. We also are responsible for the Bravo show and all the celebrities on $1 Million Listing, which I didn't know that until after I joined the company. The famous agents, on that show.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's always fun, and people love real estate TV shows, Netflix, and all those streaming shows. But also, we're hearing that people love this show too, and you're on it.
Of course.
In fact, I just heard that this week from several people. Well, let's tell people, here we are in Houston, Texas. One of the things we're talking about niches here a little bit today, it seems like your niche is with the sports and celebrity
Sports Entertainment Division.
Right, an entertainment division. And here in Houston, Texas, I mean, this is not Los Angeles, but we have our fair share of notable people, and you're in the world where you're helping them. Let's tell people about this little category that you're working.
Well, it wasn't on purpose that I got into this category, but I had a famous athlete as a client quite a few years back, and I didn't even, honestly, I hate to say, know who he was. And then I found out through him I got other athletes because his agent referred him. And so when I got the job opportunity at Douglas Elliman, I had to try out, and I had to talk about my experience with athletes, and that's kind of,
Well, give us an idea without naming names. In fact, I think I know who this was, and I think I know where the home. I kind of remember where
There's
the home.
been more than one home, yes.
But one of the homes you talked about was really beautiful. I looked it up. But anyway, let's tell people, what are some of the things that if you were telling, let's say you were coaching another agent in another city about this category,
Oh, yeah.
sports and entertainment, what's different about it? If anything, people are people, right? But
Well-
what do you have to know to help the sports and entertainment clientele?
You have to know that it's not just that individual, the famous person, the athlete, the celebrity. It's an entourage of about, God knows, 10 people or more that are financial guys and attorneys, family members. I mean,
So then
they're all involved.
So the real estate transaction gets even more
They
complicated.
come in and say they like the house, and then you have to communicate with all these different people, which a lot of times can be very challenging because they're not on the same communication level, if you know what I mean. And everybody has their opinion of what's best for that person. They have management.
So then how do you, as the agent, work through this or get people on the same page?
I'm being
that's-
honest and saying it's
yeah,
very stressful
it's
because
stressful,
I'm pretty
right.
relentless in my personality, and I have to call everybody all day long, make sure they're all on the same
Persistence.
page. Yes. That's what's helped me because I just, somebody said I could be annoying, but I want everybody to be on the same page. Husband, wife, family.
So there's wrangling that's
Yes,
involved to
very
get
much
everyone
so.
on the
Very
same
much
page.
so, yes.
Hey, quite frankly, we have to be annoying sometimes to get the job done, right?
Right.
That's a good tip.
Relentless, yeah.
We'll call it perseverance. So that person has to have perseverance, and also the awareness that you have all these extra ingredients to the mix.
And and be aware of everything that's going on that can change. Well, in real estate in general, can change daily. I mean,
What about the fact that one thing, especially with sports, I'm thinking, is that the sports figure, whomever it is, comes from another town, and they're only staying a while. So you have the opportunity to sell and to help them buy a home as well.
typically they stay half a year. I mean, if they're traveling like football players or someone, they're not here the whole year. If they have family here, then the property is property managed and pretty much empty for a year.
So then as the real estate let's say you're helping the buyer coming in, right away you know that you'll have the opportunity to get that listing if they're happy.
Correct.
I'm thinking like a salesman all of a sudden, right?
Yeah, correct.
So you already know that.
And it's real short term. If they're being, like traded or something, they could come in and say, I need a house in 3 days.
Yep.
So it's a big, fast process, and it's never boring, that's for sure.
So that's a lot of there's the fun
It's
part.
not as glamorous as people think, but it's not boring. Let's put it that way.
So I think that could keep you entertained. Speaking, and what about the entertainment part? Sports figures, we see them on here in Houston. We have a lot of big teams and so forth. But what about entertainment? Are there that many entertainment figures that are in and out of the city?
Yes, actually, yes. I can. There's
You
so
don't
many
mention
incidents I
names
can talk about.
yeah.
Well, everybody knows one of them that I represented. Same kind of situation. You meet them, they come see the property, then they don't do the negotiations. They're just off doing their tour, whatever they are scheduled to do, and then you are dealing with their people, their lawyer, their financial advisors, making the decisions pretty much for them. And so when I'm dealing with them, it's just on viewing the properties. But then you have all the other people working with them that you deal with after that,
So it sounds to me like the entertainer or sports figure, they want to make sure if it's one person or if they're family, that they like the property, and out of the 5 homes, let's talk about the buyer, the 5 homes they look at, okay, we like these 2, and then they let it up to the other
Yes.
people for the dollars and negotiating. Thus,
It's not really that easy. I mean,
No, it
one
doesn't sound
situation I was in and out of contract. I worked with this particular client for 2 years, in and out of contract 4 times, and they ended up not buying any of them.
each one was a different house.
Yes, of course.
Wow.
Inspections and problems, and a lot of different scenarios. But it's not like very seldom they just come in and buy it immediately. That has happened as well, but it depends on what big of a rush they're in.
Well, sometimes that rush could help the real estate professional.
Yes.
That could be on your side. So that you're like, hey,
Those are nice when they go, I
Yeah.
want it right now, and that's it.
I have to have it right now. You're like, oh, this
Like,
could be good.
yeah, it's like, yeah.
Well, that's interesting. So that's the sports and entertainment category
Mm-hmm.
that your company has a
division.
division and a expertise in. But also, you're not limited to that, because I know you help even friends of mine. You help them buy
Yes,
and
of
sell
course.
homes. So let's
and I
tell
have to
people
let
about
it be known that I'll help any price range, any part of town. I mean, I've kind of put it out there because people have said, you just do luxury and you can't be bothered. Yes, Yes, I can be bothered, please.
You bother me for that
Because those
$300,000 home.
$300,000 to
That's more.
$600,000 is the normal buyer.
Yeah, that's bread and butter.
And I had to tell one of my clients, I said 1% of the population, 1% buys $1 million and above. When you're talking even
Now, wait a minute. Is that 1% of the Houston population
just in
or
general,
just general?
it's not the average buyer. The average buyer is mid-market, which I consider like 3 to 6, 3 to 7.
All right. That's
And
a
those
good
would
point.
fly. And if you had 10 of those a month, you'd be in better shape than sitting on one that's $5 million for 3 years. That can happen. And the percentage above that, I have a listing in particular right now that I told my clients is 0.001% of people that can afford this home.
'Cause
So
it's expensive.
very, yeah. So
Just give us a number. You don't have to say who it is, but the
20
number.
million.
20 million. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of money. Just the taxes on that is.
Right. So the people that qualify and they have to be really strictly go into their financials and what have you are not that many. Like I probably had 4 showings last year. And there are a lot of times people that live in the area or transferring in or international clients.
$20 million listing. Mm-hmm. How long is it going to take to sell this?
It depends. We've had offers. We've had a couple offers that they did not accept, but the luxury market has picked up, and I was kind of surprised.
That's what I'm hearing.
Recently, I've had a lot of showings, so things have picked up in the luxury market.
What would you call, that's on, we'll say the high end,
Mm-hmm.
right? What's the beginning? $1 million listing? When we say the luxury market, would we start?
Yes.
Is it the $1 million? That's when we're thinking of luxury.
And that seems pretty normal now here in Houston. There's so
Right.
many, and really, really young people buying these kind of homes, which always amazes me. I'm like,
Yeah, where'd you get
where
the
did
money?
I miss out on this deal? Like, I mean, I say kids, people in their 30s, young couples that are very, very successful, and it seems to be an average price for those people these
Well, I
days.
think just generally speaking, when I think and reflect about living in Houston all these years and looking around and how we've been pretty not immune to the economy, but we're pretty healthy considering all the things that have gone on decade after decade. There's a lot of money in this town.
A lot.
A lot of businesses, nationwide businesses, worldwide businesses even have originated from here. We have a lot of talented people and, making a lot of money, and that's a good thing for our economy. So as far as let's go back to the sports figures. I guess we think so much about this category of the West Coast. However, where are they coming from, let's say, other than the West Coast, when you're helping the sports and the entertainment person, let's say?
All over.
East Coast?
All over. I mean,
Everywhere.
I've been doing it quite a while now, so I can't say specifically from
So
where.
they know you. They're getting to know Beth Cassidy.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, your name's easy to remember, right?
You always say that. I think I'm the only
People-
one in Houston.
I think you're the only person I know with the last name Cassidy. Now,
I love that name, so
Isn't
yeah.
it great? Yeah. So there you are. The word's going out there. People don't have to write your name down. Yes, we're talking with Beth Cassidy with Douglas Elliman. Beth, before we close this segment, let's tell people what else you want them to know about what you're doing, and then we'll tell them how to reach you.
Basically, it's all I do all the time. I'm accessible and always answer my phone immediately.
You do.
I'm
You're
really
eating.
I'm
Yeah.
really good with follow up, which is very important because I hear a lot of people complaining that agents don't call them. I mean, I love my job. I love what I do, and I just have passion for it. So it's seriously like consumes me, but I'm glad that I have it because it's helped me in a lot of areas of my life to really love what I do. I had a lot of jobs that I didn't like.
And you love this one. And I'm also hearing a lot lately, these last couple months, that a lot of people on the West Coast are listening to this show, and of course elsewhere on the internet and so forth. So there may be celebrities listening right
Yes,
now that want to
yes.
call you, Beth Cassidy. What's the phone number, Beth?
832-646-2982. 832-646-2982. Also, the fact that people categorize me. They think I'm a sports agent when they see sports entertainment. And I have to constantly say no. I will sell
right.
to anybody. I have something under contract right now that's $125,000.
There you go. That
I
sounds
don't
good
discriminate.
to me. Thank you so much,
Thank
Beth
you.
Cassidy.
Thank you, Bill.
It's time to talk home inspections. We have Dustin Orlando. His company is called First Rate Home Inspections. Dustin, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
We would thank Kevin Davidson for bringing you on. Let's tell people, first of all, Dustin, about your company, First Rate Home Inspections.
Yeah, so First Rate Inspections, we've been in the industry for 13 years now. We're a multi-inspector firm. We do anything and everything. We are the one-stop shop home inspection business based right here in Houston. and we cover the entire market. Anywhere our agent's willing to go, we're willing to travel.
So when you say that, as far as geographically speaking, so someone listening maybe in Conroe, you'll do an inspection in Conroe. What about Galveston, covering like a whole spectrum there?
Yes, sir. From Matagorda to Trinity, San Antonio to Beaumont.
You know, when I think about the overview of that, if I were in a helicopter right now looking at all that, there's a lot of homes between here and all those places.
Absolutely.
Lots
Helicopters make inspections easy.
That's right. Lots of homes. Yeah, a lot of rooftops, as they say. So in the meantime, and of course right here where our studio is located, right in the center of the city, uptown area, let's say, you're covering these homes as well.
Yes, sir.
So as far as the company, there are a lot of inspection companies, a lot of real estate professionals. What are some of the distinctions about your company, First Rate?
I think one of the things that sets us apart, you've got a lot of people in the industry. You've got hundreds, if not thousands, of inspectors statewide. Something that sets us apart is technology based. I mean, everything we do is technology based. Everything's done off a platform. We use smart technology to do everything and incorporate it in our business, from the mold inspections that we do, the consultations that we do, down to just the home inspection. All the tools that we use and the software we use, it really sets us apart from the fly-by-night home inspector.
As far as an inspection goes, now let's take, and I'm thinking about this large listing that Beth was talking about, but let's take, we'll quote, the average home. You know, what's an average home? Well, it depends, right? I love that answer. It depends. So let's take a 2,500 square foot home, 25 to 3,000. First of all, would that be considered in your world a normal, regular inspection?
Yes, yeah.
Right, okay.
That's the ballpark inspection that we do.
Bread and butter, maybe even we'll say. So as far as that, what's included and what do you do in that regular inspection for that size of a home?
Yeah, so for that size of a home, we handle it like any other. We work the home from top to bottom. So upon arrival, our guys get out of their vehicle. They've got a protocol, standards that they follow. We basically took and modified the Trek SOP and just said, well, look, that's the state's minimum. Well, at First Rate, we have a minimum that's far different. It sets us apart because it's a lot stricter. There are some agents who might not particularly like it, but we
so you do more than what's required, is what you're saying, right?
Yes, we're a little overboard, but it uncovers a lot of things that most others won't see or won't get out of the inspection. So if it's rooftop coverage, we do walk every roof that we can. If we can't walk it, we fly it with a drone. If we can't fly it, we will inspect in different ways, from the roof down to the foundation, everything in between, all the major mechanical components, the heater, the furnace, the AC, the water heater, the plumbing system, electrical system. Everything's done in depth. We've got multiple people within our company who are former licensed electricians, former master plumbers, former lots of things. So there's a lot of experience and knowledge.
Speaking of billionaires, I hear electricians and plumbers, some of them are getting into that realm.
Yes, very much so.
They're in demand.
High demand.
High demand. So as far as how long, again, taking that normal quote, 2,500, 3,000 square, how long does that type of inspection take?
Man, that all goes down to maintenance.
But yeah.
It depends on how well the home has been taken care of. The average home, we like to quote out an hour per 1,000 square foot, and that's going to include inside, outside. And then you get older homes that haven't been maintained well enough, and then you start adding on ancillary services. That adds in about an hour of extra time as well.
And let's take, I'm thinking of this $20 million listing. So this is obviously a larger home. But what happens, let's take a large luxury home that's, let's say, maybe 7,000 square feet. What happens on an inspection there? Obviously, it's going to take more time. Have you done those kinds of inspections?
Yes, sir. We actually just wrapped up a deal. We inspected a 13,000 square foot house just this past week. And we do send out multiple inspectors, and they get the cream of the crop.
13,000 square feet?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
They get multiple
Were
inspectors.
you on that one?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Was it interesting?
Very.
I would
lots of, sign this agreement. Here's an NDA.
Okay.
You can't talk about this. Don't
Right.
show this. Don't post these photos. So there we do work with
fascinating
with some high-end buyers that they don't, and even on the seller side, they don't want us disclosing what's in their home, what they have, where they're moving, where they live. So it can make the transaction process a little tricky.
But that's a testament to your company that these kinds of clients are reaching out to you and they trust you, because that's a good point. When we think of home inspections, and we've talked to many home inspectors on this show, I never thought of the element of trust, but there has to be a trust because you're going into someone's, whether it's an individual or a family, you're going into someone's home, their domain, whether it's small or large. There's a lot of there's privacy that comes into play.
Yeah, we get up close and personal. We see all the elements of who they are, especially if the home is occupied. You get in a home and a lot of people are fearful of who's coming in here, what are they going to be doing, what are they looking at. But we hold that close to the vest. We don't disclose what we see, who we meet. But we do a good enough job. We've had multiple sellers who are moving out of town, say to San Antonio or Austin, down to Conner or Galveston, and they'll reach out and say, hey, you guys did such a great job inspecting the home I sold. I want you to come over here. It's not necessarily our service area, but they're like, hey, the fee's the fee. We'll pay for you to come. So it's a testament to who we are.
That is a good point. When we trust people and like people we're doing business with and trust them, we want to use the services again when we need to, again and again. So going back to the regular home, one of the things that comes into play, I think there are people that think if they buy a new home, and here in Houston, Texas, all over, as you know, there's a lot of new home developments that are in progress and that are just now completed. Give us an idea from your opinion. If someone says, oh, well, I'm buying a new home, I don't need it to be inspected. What do you say to that?
Every home needs an inspection.
That's what I would say, too. I agree.
We hear that quite often, and it doesn't, for us, just like with any other business and any other professional in the industry, it's not a money grab. It's not a, hey, this house needs an inspection. We need to go in and uncover things. It's more a matter of you're making the biggest purchase of your entire life. It's a lot of investment. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of trust. Have that third party who can go in and have an unbiased opinion of what the home truly looks like and what things need to be corrected before closing.
Well, one of the things, too, I heard someone say that they bought a new home or they're having their new home inspected, and the guy there was no insulation in the attic. I mean, when a lot of contractors are part of a project, in this case a home, some of them forget things. So that happens.
Yes.
So you got to make sure that they did all the things that they're supposed to.
Yes, it happens often. You can have mishaps where insulation gets missed, plumbing's not connected correctly. We've done some new homes where we've ran showers and do a soak test on the tubs and find that the tubs are leaking in the bathroom because the drains aren't hooked up properly. It's the small things that good to catch during the inspection, but it would certainly be catastrophic if you've moved into a new home, have your family in there, you've spent a bunch of money on your down payment and your earnest money, and now you're looking at having to repair flooring or the time just out of the home.
Is the price, again, take the 2,500, 3,000 square foot home, is that price the same for the new home inspection as it is for the previously owned home? Yeah,
our prices are variable. Everything's square foot based. We do tack on a little extra fee for age of home, just due to the time that it's going to take.
So an older home is more expensive?
Older home's going to run a little more expensive. Okay. Pier and beam will run a little more expensive. There's a lot of extra things that we do within that inspection time frame that really runs the price up. That could, but there's things that you need to know.
We're talking to Justin Orlando with First Rate Home Inspections. Justin, you've been in this world for quite a while, I guess, but what is it that you love about this profession?
I just like being able to see the smile on someone's face when we help them find not a house, but a home. Being able to walk them through the process and show them, look, with just these few minor things, a little bit of maintenance, a little bit of upkeep, this house truly becomes what you can call a home.
The other thing I was wondering, taking a specific part of the home, and that is the attic. Let's take an existing home, not a brand new home, but when you go into an attic of a home, again, a typical home, if there's such a thing, what do you look for in the attic?
That's a very that's a very broad
Well,
subject matter.
When
there.
you think about that, you go into the attic, right? What do you look at first?
Yeah, we cover.
Because that tells some tales.
Yeah, absolutely it does. It's probably one of the most critical parts of the home inspection, if I'm being honest, because an improperly ventilated attic can lead to premature deterioration of a roof. Improperly insulated attic could lead to high humidity levels within the home and premature deterioration of a furnace unit. So there's a lot of components there in the attic. We spend probably more time than normal in the attic, looking at everything from the framing construction, the insulation, ventilation, checking for pest activity in the attic. There's a ton of things that we go over there.
That's right. There are so many things that, again, it tells the tale. I forgot about the pests.
Yes, it's
because they find their way in there.
Yes, absolutely they do. And what might not be visible from the outside, you're definitely going to find on the inside.
Dustin Orlando, before we close this segment, what else you want people to know?
There's no home too far. There's no deal too great that we can't handle. We can be found on our website at firstrateinspections.com, and that is 1ST rateinspections.com.
And if someone wants to give you a call, the number is
832-567-5791.
Sounds like you said 832-567-5791. Dustin Orlando. Thanks for being with us, Dustin.
Thanks for having us, Bill.
In today's litigious society, it is imperative to have the proper insurance to offset the many risks facing your business, especially if you're a real estate broker. Your errors and omissions and cyber liability insurance can help limit the threat of these risks if you know what to look for. Not sure if your insurance addresses the risks facing your business? Contact Stewart Insurance to be confident your brokerage can withstand these risks. Stewart Insurance, 866-798-2827. StewartInsurance.com. That's StewartInsurance.com or call 866-798-2827.
Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title would not be possible without our partner, Stewart Insurance. With a focus in real estate and a special focus on real estate brokers, Stewart Insurance creates insurance plans to address the risks facing our industry today. They invest a significant amount of time helping real estate brokers, owners, offset and manage their risks. Here he is, John Bramlett with Stewart Insurance. John, welcome.
Bill, always a pleasure.
Well, once again, we start off the week with an exciting show. I love when we have different topics all together in one show. Here's show number, 469, but it's amazing.
It's fantastic. We always have, it seems like each week's set of guests outdo the previous week.
Well, and I like the fact that as far as focusing in, sometimes we think about the different scenarios, and as far as mortgage and divorce, I never thought about. Interesting.
Well, it really is. I mean, how divorce can come into play, and then the nuances of working with a celebrity in their home transactions, and then the nuances of home inspections, depending upon the size of the home and what you're having done. I mean, it's always an educational experience when you listen to Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title.
You know, in some circles, Beth Cassidy is the celebrity all on her own.
Well, everybody that I know that knows Beth Cassidy considers her a celebrity. In fact, I hear her called Celebrity Cassidy quite a bit.
That's right. That's a new one. CC, right? So, John, insurance, all these things that we talked about, heard about, thought about, it all relates to insurance in one way or another at some time or another.
It does. It does. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the changes that we're seeing in the cyber market.
Never lets up, does it?
No, but we're starting to see some stability in the cyber market, which is encouraging. It doesn't mean that the risks are going away. The risks are still there and the risks are still increasing, but we're starting to see, at least from an insurance perspective and a premium perspective, some stability. There was InsuranceJournal.com had an article recently from Bloomberg that talked about this, and what we're seeing is some of the cyber insurance market was really battered during the pandemic. You had suddenly everybody was working from home. The security levels on people's computers and in their systems and all were not quite as strong as they would be if you were in an office. We saw a significant increase in cybercrime, especially ransomware. But we're starting to see a little bit of a moderation in the price hikes. We're starting to see some new carriers come into the market. There were folks that were getting out of the market, but we're starting to see some new carriers come back in the market, and that's providing some additional options that are out there for folks to consider.
Yeah, you're on top of it. That's good to know.
Well, it is, and it's like I said, it hasn't gone away, and it's still an issue. But we're starting to see some, the cost of cyber insurance in January of 2022 versus January of 2021 had increased 110%. The premiums, the increase in premiums for January 2022 versus 2021 was only 10%. So while it is still an investment that an individual or business is going to have to make or should make, it's not quite as significant of an investment as it might have been in the last couple of years. Is that we're starting to see some of this leveling out, if you will. If you think about the amount of claims that the insurance companies have faced in general over the last 5 years, but specifically those that provide cyber coverage, there's going to be an increase in premium because they're paying out more claims, and they are not non-for-profit organizations. They are for-profit organizations. So we're going to see that. But what we're starting to see, one of the things that's balancing out, or a couple of items that are balancing now, is how they write the policies are different. So they're being smarter, I think, about how they write the policies. The carriers' appetites are changing, so those that are in the business truly have an appetite for this type of coverage. And then we're seeing clients do a better job and have stronger cybersecurity methods. Some of those are taken on their own behalf, and some of those are being driven by the insurance companies. That if you would like to have cyber coverage, here are the things that you need to have in place even before you have coverage. So the cyber companies the insurance companies are being smarter about the types of plans that they're offering, but also the businesses are being smarter about how they try to minimize those risks.
Yeah, there's things that we have to do as a company to be able to get the insurance. One of the things I'm thinking about also is when I think about all the real estate professionals, number one, the realtors will say, but also the many, many brokers in this city and in other large cities. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm guessing that there's a broker or two that hasn't even thought of cyber coverage.
Oh, absolutely.
Is that an understatement?
No, I think that's a fair statement, because what you'll see is that either companies in general, if you look across the spectrum, about 50% of the businesses in the U.S. have some sort of cyber coverage. But of those 50%, only 20% of the liability limits meet the medium cyber damages that they would see. So while some may have coverage, many are undercovered or don't have a significant enough coverage. But to answer your question, yes, we do have folks that are putting it off because of their concern about potentially cost, or they just aren't aware of it. But if you think about, especially in our industry, if you're a realtor or a broker, the amount of information on an individual that you carry, how much information you know about that individual that could be of value to these bad actors. If you're a title company, now you have all that information, plus you're thrown in a financial transaction, and you're handling money, and you're handling the exchange of money, or your property management firm, and now you've got escrow funds, or you've got earnest money, or you've got funds in place from your clients to do minor repairs, or you're collecting rent, and a bad actor gets into your system and suddenly reroutes where the rents are paid, or reroutes where the down payment of the home is made. So it's critical, especially if you're in this business, if you're in the real estate business or related business, you need to consider having cyber coverage. If you're a large team that's part of a broker, I'm asking my broker, do you have cyber coverage? If I'm a realtor joining a brokerage firm, I'm asking my broker, do they have cyber coverage?
And cyber coverage is different than errors and omissions.
Absolutely.
Is that correct?
Absolutely.
So sometimes, and I'm going to guess, there's all kinds of us out there in the world, but there might be a broker that has errors and omission, and they might be thinking, "Oh, I'm covered for that."
That's correct. I mean,
so maybe this is helping someone out there in an awareness mode.
yeah, I mean, errors and omissions is basically if somebody feels like you didn't do your job as a professional. The cyber liability is if you allowed or you caused or your systems caused a cyber crime. Now, there are some errors and omissions plans that have some cyber coverage included in them, but the liability limits on those coverages are limited. And if you were to file a claim for a cyber incident against your errors and omissions plan, for sure your premium is going to go up next year, and probably your ability to be covered is going to be in question. So there'd be a chance that you may not be renewed because of that claim. So if you truly want to be properly insured, you would have a separate professional liability or errors and omissions plan, and you would have separate cyber liability coverage as well.
I would also think you're going to want to talk to a professional like Stewart Insurance to have a discussion before you know how to tailor the variety of plans that are out there for your company or you and your company.
Well, absolutely, because one, we're going to spend the time to make sure that we understand, your business and your challenges and what you're trying to accomplish. So there are risks that you're aware of that we can help you offset. But in many cases, especially in the area of cyber, there are risks that you're not aware of. So we can help you on some steps that you might take to minimize those risks, or steps that you're going to need to take to minimize those risks in order to have cyber coverage. But then also talk about the types of coverage that you need to consider that to offset risks that you may not even be aware that are out there. Well, if you want to be properly insured, whether that be for cyber coverage for your business or for your home or your auto, wind, flood, your vacation home, motorcycle, absolutely. We're getting into great weather to ride motorcycles. Did you know that Kevin's getting tats on his bald head?
I did not know
He's getting an eagle on the back end.
Stewart
title on the top.
Oh, okay.
Stewart title on the top and an eagle on the back side. Yeah,
it's going to look good.
Yeah, he was showing me some drawings of it today.
Super awesome. How can people reach you?
866-798-2827. That's 866-798-2827. They can visit us online at stewartinsurance.com or give us an email, stewartinsurance@stewart.com.
And real quick, since you mentioned Kevin, say just a quick word before we close down the show and bring everybody back. And Juliana, no, over here. So here he is, Kevin Davidson, Business Development Officer. Kevin, you're in Sugar Land. Let's also tell people your other office.
Hey, Bill. Thanks for having me. I'm also in Richmond, Texas, just about 10 minutes south of the Sugar Land office.
Not to be confused with Richmond, Virginia, right?
Of course not. No confusion whatsoever.
It'd be a long drive.
Very long. And we wouldn't be able to close it. Too far away.
So there you are. You're helping people in a tremendous way. You always have activities going on for real estate professionals. You brought Dustin here to the show, doing awesome work all the time.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Like everybody already knows, I teach my own CE classes. I have 9 of them now. And then there's going to be a lot of cool events come up in the next month or so, crawfish boil, Easter egg hunt for the kids, and lots of education.
That's why I say stay close to your Stewart title Business Development Officer wherever you are, because you're always doing educational, fun things for the real estate professionals out there. I'm
the non-traditional title rep. I bring value and education to my clients, not just food.
Well, that could be a motto. I bring value, not just food, but you bring food sometimes.
Well, if you wanted to, I will. Yes, of course. But I bring value.
And how can people reach you, Kevin Davidson?
832-654-0527 or kevin.davidson@stewart.com.
The phone number again?
832-654-0527.
I'm Bill, and I don't bring food. And meanwhile, thank you so much, Kevin. Here she is, Juliana Bareford, right here, Stewart Title, Kirby Grove. Juliana, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bill.
Fresh from the rodeo and everything.
Yes, we had a busy shift yesterday.
Well, you're doing tremendous things as well, with educational and otherwise, right there at Kirby Grove office, right?
Yes, right by Levy Park.
And if someone doesn't know Levy Park, you're in the center of the Houston universe, basically.
Yes, right off of Richmond and Kirby is the closest cross streets.
So let's tell people, if someone wants to reach out to you, helping people Inside the Loop and even beyond, and up here in Uptown, you're doing a lot of that work right there at our office.
I am. We are hosting a lot of CE classes. We've got a pistol safety class coming up. So I can be reached at 832-296-7666. Again, 832-296-7666 or juliana.bearford@stewart.com.
That sounds good. She's back. Beth Cassidy, speaking of Inside the Loop and all points uptown and exciting areas.
Well,
What if we're not a celebrity? We'll still
the
reach out
market's
to you.
still active. There's a little less inventory. Sellers have to be real diligent about what their home looks like. You know, as far as staging, a lot of times pictures can be misleading. Kind of like online dating, I've heard. Not that I do it.
Now you beat me to it. I was going to say that you're
They walk in and go, it looks nothing like
Hey,
this.
yeah.
The pictures.
That doesn't look
But it's
anything
really
right.
important that it's in the best shape possible and appealing to the masses. I have that issue a lot of times that they love it, but a lot of people wouldn't. The interest rates are 6.5.
They're what
to
they
7.
are.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to go up a little bit according to my lender friend, my favorite lender. But
You never know.
you never know. Things are changing all the time. But people are still moving here.
Still have to move. Yeah.
Yeah, Houston's very popular. One of the most popular cities.
A lot of life events. And again, your company is Douglas Elliman. Beth Cassidy, let's tell people how to reach you.
832-646-2982. And my email is beth.cassidy@elliman.com.
Again, the phone number is?
832-646-2982.
And now let's go to Orlando. That's Dustin Orlando. Hey, Dustin, first-rate home inspections.
Yeah, biggest thing is I'll reiterate what we talked about earlier is just make sure whether you're an agent, title, mortgage, whatever you're in, just make sure you reiterate the fact and the necessity and importance of getting a home inspection. These are all our clients at the end of the day, and the last thing we want to do is see them walk into a deal unknown.
That's right. And I'm glad you confirmed when I was curious about the attic that it can tell so many things about the home. And that's not to mention one of the obvious ones is leakage. I mean, if you have a roof that's leaking, you may not always catch it, but you're going to be able to be telltale signs.
Correct.
So and that's one thing.
Yeah, and dealing with leaks is, it's Houston. We've got the humidity, we've got the rain, the wind. When we see it and we hear often, well, do I need to take care of it? Yes.
Yes, you do.
One of
Capital
the most,
yes.
One of the most important things to have taken care of on the home is make sure the roof is in tip-top shape.
Right now, there are some attics, rodents are having a party, and we want to make sure they get out, right?
That is 100%.
We need to get and one of the things about a home inspector, I'm presuming, but confirm it right now, if you find problems, whether it's a rodent, roofing problem, you have friends that you call, you can give people a choice of places to go to get the problem fixed as well if they choose to go forward with the home.
Yes, we've got a vetted contractor list that we send out.
Sound like an awesome company to do business with. First-rate home inspections. Dustin, let's tell them how to reach you one more time.
You can go to our website at firstrateinspections.com or reach us by phone at 832-567-5791. Again, that is 832-567-5791.
Thank you so much for being with us, and thank you all for listening to Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I am your host, Bill Knapik, together with John Bramlett, Tom Carpentier, Larry Warren, Justin Ramirez. We appreciate you listening. And I don't know that I said it at the beginning of the show, but go to stewart.com/radio. That's right. That's where you can not only hear the show, but you can see it. Yeah, I make YouTube videos, flying cameras, all sorts of bells and whistles when you watch the video at stewart.com/radio. In addition, you can access the show archives at stewart.com/radio. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.